Good evening all from G8GKQ. Seeing a few people testing, which was good to see. Hi Roger. Just writing down a few call signs so I can sing them out. Right. Well, big news this week is we've been finalising plans for CAT 21 Part 2, which will be on Saturday, October the 16th, starting at 9:30 and running through to about 4 o'clock. Subjects including Portsdown and Ryde, no surprises there, but the the headline item for the day is there'll be a talk about EMC requirements for, or EMF, whichever you want to call it, for Cure 100 and microwaves in general. So that's Saturday 16th of October, please make a note of that. CQTV is in production at the moment. And don't forget the first weekend in October is a activity weekend as well. So try and plan ahead for that, please. Okay, I have so far Gareth G4XAT who will go first, then Mike G0MJW, Richard GI4DOH, Roger G3IUZ, Jim G7NTG. Watching on the side we have Bernie and James. Not sure whether Noel's going to join us. Perhaps pipe up on the chat if so. So without further ado, let's put it round. Yes, I do have one more thing to say. I won't be hosting next week. It'll be Mike G0MJW to host. Mike G0MJW to host, and Noel will be doing the streaming, which is just tested. You did say yes, Mike. You did say yes. So, without further ado, round to Gareth, and I'll add you to the list, Phil, from G8GKQ. From G.
Right, that's promising. Evening all. Thank you, Dave. G4XAT from G8GKQ in the BATC Thursday Evening Net. Okay, no miserable test card or anything. I thought I'll just get on with it today. CAT 21, yeah, looking forward to that. Unfortunately, I've got a clash on the afternoon, and I'm just wondering if it'll be available to watch on YouTube or something later. Perchance that presentation about not burning your neighbours with your dish, etc. would be very useful. Activity weekend, that'll be good. I've been playing a bit more with my pump up mast. I've moved it slightly so it's more central to my garden and less of a hazard when you're cutting the grass, and lubricated it. According to SMC, who supplied it originally, you just use light engine oil rather than paying them 40 quid for a litre. So I did, and it goes up and down without squeaking quite nicely. So that's good. I've also finally run decent coax pretty much all the way to the mast. So I've been doing some measuring. I've got 4-50A running from the shack 29.5 metres, and then 12 metres of Westflex 103 up the mast. And I calculate my total losses. On 70 meg it's 1 dB, 1.5 on 2 metres, 2.6 on 70 sems, 4.5 on 1250, and 6.5 on 13 sems. So if I run one of Jim's amps at 500 watts, I'll have about 100 watts out at the other end, and that's then going into a 46 element loop Yagi. So that should work, even though the losses are horrendous. But it's promising. I mean, it's so much better. I was testing into HV, and I can get a MER of 10 on my little tiny amplifier. This little brick thing here. Hold on a second. There we are. That little thing there, to see if it focuses properly. Yes, it does. Okay, it's got an output filter on it as well. And if I run 50 watts from my Nokia Dolphin, the MER goes up to 20. So that's good enough then. Okay, that's about it from the radio point of view, but I would say I've grown some chilies this year that are weapons grade hot. If any of the listeners or viewers would like some, they're called Peach Ghost Jammy. They're a cross. They're round about 1 million Scoville units. They are insanely hot. I've only used 3 in a big batch of chutney, and it's hot stuff. But if anybody would like one or more, I've got several that I'm never going to use, so shout and I can message me or something on the forum or otherwise private message if you'd like some of those, and I'll pop some in the post. Okay. Right, that's it from me. I think I will listen and come back if it's before 9 o'clock, but otherwise I've got to go. So round to you, Mike. M0MJW take it from G4XAT in the BATC Net. Over.
Right, woefully unprepared, sorry. Have I got audio today? Yeah, I have. I'm using the other camera at the moment, so I'll just go back to the proper one so you can see me. Not a lot to say really, but nice to see everyone again, and hopefully have audio, which I missed last week. The only thing I've got to show really is this camera, which I showed the other week. So showing it again is perhaps a little bit strange, but just that it's now disconnected. So instead of sitting on top of the great big thing that it sat on top of, I guess you can see it panning and tilting and zooming here. And there's the second one. I've got 2 of them. This is the Sony camera. The one that is actually looking at that, the second one, is just the same, and it's running off a simple RS-232 connection. Yeah, I care about the lack of lip sync now. I'll have a go at that in a minute. It's because I've been messing around with things. So sorry about that. But it won't be that bad. At least I hope not. It does depend on what receiver you're looking at it though. So I'll just look at it myself. I hope not. It does depend on what receiver you're looking at it though. So I'll just look at it myself. Yeah, it is quite a long way out. So I'll restart the thing that generates it. Yeah, it is quite a long way out. Anyway, never mind that. Because I'm going to show you a picture of the bench, and that don't have anyone talking on it, so you won't be able to tell that I'm out of sync. So what's on the bench at the moment? There's the camera that I just spoke about, and there are the various bits to make it work, which includes an easy cap. This is a not ports down compatible yet easy cap, but it works fine in Windows. S video lead, an RS-232 interface cable, and a 9-way D-type female, and that's all you need. There are no electronic components required. It really is just a cable and an RS-232 connection, which in this case is my computer. But it could be something like an Arduino or a Nexion or something else. And the software, I was going to write some software, but then discovered that there's some free software available, which is pretty good stuff actually. So let me just go back to out of sync me for a moment. And have I got this? No, actually I haven't got it set up, so I can't do that. But I've got a little app which allows me to do all this moving about of the camera. Yeah. Right. Okay. Don't think I've got very much else to say. So pass it on to Richard. And we can maybe talk about power amplifiers and other bits and pieces at some point. So over to you, Richard. GI4 DOH G0 MJW out of sync.
Wait for it. G0 MJW of the group GI4DOH. Just watching for myself to come through here. Yes, I'm there. I've got myself. Yeah, just trying out, as I talked about, the idea that was suggested to me before about putting a little switch on the front of the amplifier. Is it going to show? Yeah. Just inhibits the PTT until such time as I'm ready to go, so I don't have to click on the start streaming. And I think I comment there about low audio. Just see if I can bring that, if that's a bit better. Not sure why that should have changed from last week unless I clicked and dragged. That is the other amplifier, not the one that I'm using, but the current one is like it. Just a little toggle switch to inhibit the PTT until I'm ready to go, and then I don't have that little lag before I see myself come up on the screen. Okay, James, I think I may have accidentally dragged the slider down. I don't think anything should have changed from last week. So that wasn't a major task on either of those. Indeed, having done the first one, the second one took next to no time at all. Just drilling holes in the front cover without taking everything off and making sure I didn't get any swarf inside was the hardest thing about that. I think just been very careful and just hitting the switch and the wire inside. Apart from that, not a lot else. I've been spent a lot of time on eBay. I haven't actually bought a lot, but you know what it's like trying to find things. The follow-on from the 10-meter transverter and amplification thereof, I took a look at QRP kits and found that they had a little 10-watt linear amplifier. So that's something for me to do on a rainy day, and also went for their 10-meter low-pass filter kit. So that should give me a little bit more power out and should be able to drive the big cheap Italian 600-watt trolley if it works after I get the new transistor I've ordered for that. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, the Cat 21 thing, got the date in my diary for that, and the activity weekend. I need to see what I can do for that. I still haven't packaged the ports down for and the lime as yet. I have a couple of Hammond boxes on order from RS that should arrive tomorrow, and start putting one of those in. And I think I was sort of waiting for the breakout board for the ports down 4 or the GPIO boards, but I might go ahead and order the ordinary one as it can be modified to do what I want on the other bits that I want on that, and just get that into a box suitable for going out portable. So enough for me for one round. It's my round through Roger G3IUZ with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Right, well, good evening, everybody, and hope the audio is coming through. Just waiting for confirmation on that. Yep, okay. Right, well, as I say, good evening. The main thing I've sort of got tonight, if you still want it, so I'll wait till the next round in case you don't. Depends on how many people there are and what the input is. But I have just put together some pictures on the CNC. We were looking last week. I showed you the 23 SEMS filter that I've built, and we got onto the question of machining and CNC. And so I've done some. Well, I get a collection of pictures of the workshop and some of the machinery and some of the output and some of the CNC processes, which may or may not be of interest. So, Dave, you can act as arbiter on that one. Someone said go for it, says Phil, thank you. Well, I'll wait to the next round because it's only fair for everyone to have a go, because it'll take 5-6 minutes, something like that, to go through. So we'll wait to the next round on that. Apart from that, I don't think there's anything special to report. Thank you for the advice on the suitable amplifiers or preamps for the 23 SEMS. I'm waiting for a delivery, so it's somewhere between here and the Far East, I think. So it goes now, I think, to G8XTW, I believe. So G8XTW to take it. This is G3IUZ with the QO100 group.
Checking the audio. Okay, yeah, you nearly caught me off the hop now, on the hop there, Dave. Okay, good evening, everyone, from G0DQH. Not much to talk about tonight. I've been busy working on the FT290, and I've been replacing capacitors, and this is the power supply board, and I've managed, as you can see, I've put little spots of red paint on the walls that I've actually replaced. Otherwise I wouldn't know where I was coming or going. I can tell you there's so many capacitors in this beast, it's not true. But one of the things that I did notice was, if I turn the board carefully around there, when I get it right, was along the top on the connector loads of cracked solder joints. So to be aware of, I think. and I've also replaced the memory battery as well. So I've put some of the caps in the receiver itself, but I can't honestly say it's any different at the moment. Some, but we'll get in there, I hope. And the other thing that, if anybody wants any, I still have loads of these. They're not new, but I guarantee they're perfect. 9 to 36 volts in, output 12 volts DC at 1¼ amps. So, and I've got one down in the garage, and that's supplying the bias supply voltage to the bias on my TX. So they're £150 each, by the way, new. I'll put my email address on the web page in a minute, and if anybody wants some, I've got quite a few of them. Okay. Temperature in the garage at the moment, by the way, is 20.7, and on the PA itself 20.8. So it runs beautifully cool with all the fans going. Okay, that's about it from me. I won't be back on the second over. And Dave, thank you for all that information, by the way, you've emailed to me. That was great. So let's find the call sign again, and I'll see you all next week, hopefully. This is G0DQH, and passing it on to, I think, G8GKQ. Oh, back to you then, Dave, from G0DQH.
There's evening all. I know, it's a bit loud. It's not easy to turn it down. I'll turn it down on the next over. It's evening. Good to see so many people on. Phil, don't bother to watch the streaming for when you need to go. Just watch the web monitor, and when the previous station disappears, just press PTT. And the other thing is, I don't know if you what we all do is we leave our ports downs keyed and then just key the PA separately, so we don't have any of the calibration routines to go through, which kind of makes for a bit slicker quick slicker changeover. Okay, comments, yes, be great to see the CNC stuff. I can only watch in awe. I am not that way inclined at all. So be fantastic to see that. And Gareth, I start with a severe apology, which did arrive in the post this morning. Thank you. However, the specification was wrong. As you'll see in a minute, I forgot that I've got sockets on both sides of the transverter. So I've had to take the hacksaw to it already. Right, so what have I been doing? Well, I've been getting ready for 122 gigs. Gareth kindly sent me a some 3D printing, which enabled me to mount my dish. And we got audio on there. It's probably a bit slow, is it? Let's beat it up a bit. And so that's the that is the dish. So a bit more audio even. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll have this audio, not that one. Oh, that should be louder. Okay, so Gareth 3D printed me this boss and a mount that you'll see shortly. It's got a 4mm tube drilled through the middle. So this, well, I'm not. This tube is 4mm OD, 2mm inside diameter, which on 122 gigs is a waveguide. And the idea is I'm going to put a splash plate on the end of some form or other to illuminate the dish, and there's a bit of debate going on. And cut this off, and it will go that way. Concave rather than convex, so that will be supported like that. Yes, it's one of these cameras, Mike. Now the bit where Gareth needs to close his eyes is because this is the transverter that goes on the back, and you can see the mount here where the tube goes into. That's the aerial socket, old man. And unfortunately, Gareth did this wonderful 3D printing job for me. But what I forgot was that I've got sockets on both sides of the transverter. So the transverter will then sit in there like that. And then the tube will go in, and that's the idea. The piece of wood needs cutting down, I know, but I've got to leave room for the langston and also a telescope on the other side. So that's it. That's really the only radio I've been doing. But, we worked 17 kilometres so far on these little devices. They're car collision avoidance radars, and as I say, we've done 17k, and we hope to push it a bit more with the new dish. So thank you, Gareth, and apologies. So there we are. Right, that goes in there, something like that. Don't worry about it. Okay, I think that's me. So it now goes back to I'm not having any problems, as you can see, and I am actually streaming this on my own personal stream, because I'll be doing the streaming next week. Yes, EMC, EMF. Will it? I might just hide it when I've come round. Right, okay then. Well, hopefully Gareth had a freeze while he saw what I'd done to his wonderful 3D printing job. Right, round to you, Dave. Yeah, we've done 17k. I could show Peter. Since we've got plenty of time, I might just do that. If I can find it quickly, just to prove that it does actually work very, very, very quickly. Since we're a bit short today on people. I think it was that one. No, it wasn't. That was up there. Oh, never mind. I'll perhaps show it next time round if people are interested. Right, back round to you, Dave. Gee, oh no. Right. Okay, we'll try again. So jump in as soon as my carrier disappears. Phil. ZXTW G8GT. Oh, what's that next door to me?
Yeah, I've bit of just learning the procedures really. I've had the PA, I've had it ran the wrong way in a way. PA by the dish is powered, and the driver amp up here is powered, but the pulse down wasn't. So now I've reversed it, and the TX will stay on, and I'll just power the driver amp in the office here and or shack, and off we go. Yeah, there you go. Oh my word! What's that? Bit of just learning the procedures really. That's better. Good. Okie doke. Well, just to Gareth, great news on the, well, great to hear about the chilies. My dear wife grows them for me. She hates the spicy food, but she grows them for me. But I haven't heard of that variety before, so we'll have to chat about getting some seeds if that's what you were thinking of doing, or drying some out and planting some. But yeah, I enjoy the spicy food, and some do, some don't, and for a long time. Why have we got a we got a power icon on the port sound screen? I need to fix that. Oh goodness me. Yeah, to Mike. Okay on the cameras, by the way. Thanks for keeping me in the loop on the acquisition of the software and so forth. So talking to it. As you know, he's a gentleman who has one with hopefully my name on it. Has got family things to deal with at the moment, so when that resolves and settles down, then hopefully I'll get a chance to hear from him. But as far as I know, I think he's actually got one for me, so that's nice. So that be that. What else I got in my little notes? Oh dear. Oh yes, with respect to the what Jim was saying to not the last net, but the one before it, I think we talked about these amplifiers, and I managed to get a couple in from our friends in Poland at Bison, and managed to get the connectors either side, and put these on with the help of G4 CPE's large iron. I took them off on a hot plate, which I borrowed from next door, and with the aid of a thermocouple meter, I was able to get it up to, well, 200 degrees, just over was as much as I could hold the probe onto the hot plate. Even 2 inches above the hot plate, 200 degrees feels a tad hot. And if you're not careful, you can press a little bit too hard to get your good connection with the thermocouple, and the thing collapses in your hand, then descends rapidly towards a 200 degree heated surface, which is not good. And yes, but I managed not to do that, but I did manage to fold over the end of the thermocouple. There must be some sort of scheme for holding a thermocouple in a rigid form in order to not burn yourself away. But I'm sure someone with much more experience than me will be able to comment on that down the track. And yes, okay to Roger. Looking forward to your workshop tour. I'm an aspiring engineer who isn't, and he's unlikely to if you saw what was in my garage, which is just chock-a-block with rubbish, and all the rally gear for the Dunstable Downs Radio Club rally, which hopefully will run next year. There you go. Right. With that, I'll pull the plug on my intermediate PA and
G8XTW, G8GKQ. Okay, we have got some video. That's good. Right, well that was a good round. Before I forget, Roger, yes, we'd love to see your CNC images, photos, video, whatever, next time, please. Gareth, Cat21 will be on YouTube as soon as we can get it there. It needs a bit of editing normally, but normally within a couple of days everything will go up on YouTube, so do not fear missing stuff. Phil, you would be well advised to if you're using the stream for monitoring. You may find using VLC to watch the stream to be better, and you'll find the delay then is down to about 2 seconds rather than the 20 you've been getting watching it with in the browser. So if you use VLC to watch the stream, there is no appreciable delay, or not much delay. And just keep an eye on the web monitor and use that for queuing your transmission. The activity weekend is really is 2.4 to 76 gigs nominally, but any band will do. Just get on the air. Dave G4FRE has mentioned there's a date clash that weekend with the IARU October contest on those bands. It's a constant battle finding clear dates, but that's the way it is. Richard, your audio wasn't the best in the world. I don't know whether it was a ports down problem or whether it was a problem with your Bluetooth headset, but not your best night for audio. I'm not being critical, I'm just trying to help. And in a similar vein, Noel, I was quite surprised because I run 2 rides here. One drives the stream and one I watch and listen on. One of them locked up on video and then unlocked, and then the other one locked up on video and then unlocked, and I think all the Ryde viewers had similar problems. So not quite sure what happened there, but probably Ryde not behaving totally as we would hope. But the 122 gig stuff looks really good, and it's shiny. Marvellous. Okay, so what we've been doing here is 3.4 gigs. You'll have seen this for the last couple of weeks. Be getting bored with it, I think. But I've been working on the receive side this week, and it now works with about a 5 dB noise figure on receive. The one thing I did have to put in, it uses an ADF 4351 down here for to generate the local oscillator on about 3 gigs. I had to put in a bandpass filter for the local oscillator, and that the ADF 4351 was just putting a lot of broadband noise into the mixer, probably at the IF frequency. So that's a 3.4 gig. Sorry, a 3 gig bandpass filter, and that made a world of difference to the noise figure. For a closer look at the board, that's the fella. The transmit on the left hand side and the receive on the right. And the diplexing filters in the middle there. So that's what we've been up to. No more radio for another week, and then she'll be back the week after next. Sorry about getting the order wrong there, Noel, but I gather you're only doing one over anyway. John, you'll be on next. So let's go around to John. Good to see you could make it, John. G7JTT and the net. G8GKQ.
Is that going to work? Fingers crossed. Oh, right. Good evening all. Let me just get rid of this audio so I don't confuse myself. Firstly, yes, literally just through the door, so yeah, I may slur. It's not anything else. I'm just very, very tired. It's been a very, very long, painful week. So anyway, that aside, so what have I been up to? I actually managed, as you can see in the background, only the 3rd time I've actually managed to use my new telescope for what it was actually bought for, and that is the moon has captured via my my telescope using. Actually, this is really quite neat. Actually, a cheapo webcam. So just an ordinary webcam, which so just a cheapo ordinary type. That's not going to play, is it? Let me just get. I've got that as well. Right. Turn that off for a minute. Right. So just an ordinary cheap webcam, and most of these webcams, they have little lenses on the front of them which screw in to the appropriate bit. And if you look on that one, I don't know where else it's going to come out, but there's a little ridge on it. So that ridge would be on the inside, which would stop you from actually unscrewing it completely. But when you take it off, you can unscrew that, and what you're left with, if this will go into it, no, it won't. But anyway, you're left with a cylinder which is actually threaded. So what you go and do, you go and buy one of these, which I don't know if you can see through that. There's a little infrared filter on there. But anyway, that is 1.25 inches, so that fits into your telescopes. And all that happens is, if I don't cross thread this now, one very cheap Astro photography setup. So it's not the best thing. Well, it allegedly is HD. It does do HD, but I don't think it's got a very good sensor in it. So the idea is going to be to keep buying these cheap older ones and try and find one with a CMOS sensor on it, and then hopefully get a bit more clarity out of things. Other than that, I was contacted during the week by a very good friend of mine, well, I say good friend, a very distant friend of mine, who used to be quite active on HF, Roy, and I never remember his call sign, G0OSW, who may be watching tonight. He's, like me, took a break from radio, and he's just getting back into it again now, mainly because he seems to have retired, not through choice, but through companies folding, etc. So, but anyway, he may be watching. If you are, Roy, a very good evening to you. And this is pretty much what I get up to most of the time, occasionally when I'm actually online, etc. So other than that, I haven't really done anything. I was just trying to see. Oh, I have. I could bore you with some VLF stuff, but I won't. I finally managed to get my sound card thing working properly, and I'm getting fairly good results. But of course, there's nobody sending any signals at the moment, so it's kind of pointless in that sense. Okay. D4, so good. Yeah, it's because I still haven't sorted out my power issue, Mike. I need to. I'm absolutely convinced I've cooked the cable, but it's the cable inside the PA. So there's a very short length of RG213, and I thought it'd be fine, but I think the 50 watts going into it has probably cooked it, and I probably need to replace it. I think the keep yourself alive computer within the PA is backing off everything. So I've only got about 20 watts coming out at the moment. So that was that. But yeah, I'm running at 192 now, as opposed to 48 kilohertz on the VLF stuff, and it's all locked up to. Well, I had it locked up to 1 pulse per second, but I'm getting breakthrough from one channel to the other. It was great. Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully you can't see the can of cider there, which is why I tend to have it all fuzzed out in the background. But anyway, but yeah, what are we on now? So we are locked into some station number anyway. But yeah, just my test signals there and nothing else. I keep praying that one day I'll see something appear on there and be jumping around for joy. So, right, pretty much waffling it in. So I don't know who it's round to. G4FKK next, I guess. That seems to be the list. G7JTT. Cheers all. All over the shop. That'll probably do. Hopefully there's some audio. Right. Right, no audio. Let's try that. Oh, good audio. Non-ABS test card. Well, that's funny. I'm not getting any audio here. That's weird, isn't it? It's one of the. I wasn't. Oh, there we are. Yes, there is audio. Yes, I'm on well, I'm not at the moment. I was on the Sony cam, which is over there, and because I don't appear to be able to do anything else, I did that for a test card. Right, I'll go back to the camera. Anyway, good evening. Oh yeah, I've missed quite a lot this evening. I've been in and out of the shack. In fact, because I've been so distracted, I wasn't actually going to transmit at all today. But since I found myself in the list, I thought I would. Yeah, it's been interesting actually. I was getting a lot of locking up with Noel on the Portsdown and the Winter Hill. I haven't got the Ryde running this evening, otherwise I could have checked that as well, but very odd. Another interesting thing, Dave, is I've got the sound on the Portsdown for various technical reasons here, and your audio is very slightly out of sync with the video on the Portsdown, but the sound from the Portsdown was exactly in sync with the video from the Winter Hill. So it's all too baffling, really. Right, okay. I don't think I've got a great deal to add that's of any use, other than I've got some cables from M0 Mat, not cables, some connectors from M0 Mat today, and a very, very delayed order from Mouser, so I've now got all the bits to make the 10 meter high power PA. So we'll have to get that going, Richard and Mike and Colin. I don't know if Colin's on this evening. There was something else I was going to mention, but it's escaped me. So like everyone else, I'm looking forward to seeing your demonstration, Roger. So I'll put this back to some sort of test card and give it back to whoever's next, which is Mike, G0MJW, G4FKK.
Oops. Good, hopefully you've got a signal there, possibly some video. Right, well, I've turned off the correction for the audio, so whether it's in sync or not I have no idea, but these things do seem to change from time to time for no apparent reason. Interesting, Martin, that you've got all the bits and what you're up to, and I got some connectors from Matt as well. In fact, I'd got some connectors back in August, and I emailed him to say they weren't very good, and he sent me some new ones, which was very nice of him. They was the Heliacs, and I think the batch he had weren't particularly good, but the batch he's got now are much, much better. So that's good, and thank you, Noel. Yeah, M0MAT, if you want to get hold of connectors for cable, very, very good, and very quick service as well. And good prices. I assume they're Chinese ones, but he imports. Yeah, I'm also looking forward to the CNC, so I won't be very long. The only thing I did want to show is this, which is the 8-way switch that comes from AliExpress or eBay. So this particular version of it, if you look at it carefully, you will see that the lines going to the SMAs are nowhere near 50 ohms. That's just 1.6 millimeter thick FR6, so probably more like 100 ohms. So I tested it anyway, and the isolation is fine within spec of the chip, but the loss is quite high. At above a gigahertz, so up to 70 sems there's about 1.2 1.5 dB loss, which is fine. Then at 1 gigahertz it goes up to about 3 dB loss, and at 2.4 it's about 6. So they're fine as long as you don't want to use them on the microwave bands, and I'm sure that's just because of the matching to the board. They cost about £20 delivered, and the chip is £18, so good deal, I think. Right, okay. Was there anything else? Yeah, no, I don't think so. But looking forward to seeing what else Richard's been up to, and also to hear all about this CNC, because that's one thing I'd really like to do, but I've never got around to do. So my idea of CNC is me twiddling the thing around backwards and forwards, and generally it works. You know, you turn it one way to make it go. To make the milling cutter go one way and the other way to make it go the other way, and backwards and forwards, and at some point you turn it the wrong way and ruin the job. So CNC is the way to go. Right, round to Richard. GI4 DOH, G0MJW.
G0MJW with the group GI4DOH. Just get the volume down. I'm picking myself up on more than one screen here at the moment, so I've got around this inherent delay in switching to transmit, but I still haven't mastered getting the volume down before I start. So it's all part of the learning curve, still learning. And yes, indeed, Roger, I'm looking forward to that as well. I've been getting into the grips with a 3D printer, and sort of wondered about where else I can go with that, but I don't think I'm at the stage to be starting something like that yet. But I look forward to seeing some of what you get up to there. It's all fascinating, all the things that you can do in the name of amateur radio. So what else, John? The little sensor. I've got a Meade LX10 telescope that hasn't, as we said, the light of day. It's not really the light of day, the light of night. Since I got back into amateur radio about 16 or 17 years ago, and I can remember getting a little webcam, and it wasn't one of the latest ones. It was something slightly earlier, and the thing about it was it lent itself very, very much to being able to remove the lens and actually put on a suitable fit-in. Somebody was marketing a little fit-in to go into the eyepiece, and I never really got to use it. So I must do that sometime and see how it goes, because it's still sitting in a flight case somewhere downstairs. The other thing for me, with all the stuff around, I did have it here, not for what I'm looking for. The 10 gigahertz thing from the Dutch guys, their solid state PA gives 10 or more watts out. 10 gigahertz is something totally new to me, and I'm sort of coming to terms with doing lots of reading on that. And I'm sorry I missed out the last few weeks, the mine of information and all the rest, but because I wasn't doing it myself at the time, it was sort of going over my head, and I should have been watching that, because again, I've a lot to learn with that. And I was going to comment, I don't know what's up with the little Bluetooth hands-free thing. It's almost as if it's linked to two different things at the moment. Now I've got my mobile phone sitting here. The other PC is sitting. It shouldn't actually have a Bluetooth link on it. It's sort of monitoring the 80-meter club championship data is on tonight, and I think I may have left the laptop downstairs open, so whether it's picking up the thing, I don't know. I'll look into it. So back to the standard USB headset and all the rest. No issues there. So looking around, I have to miss next Thursday because it's our local club night, and I really should put an appearance in there. So I'll skip that, but I'll hopefully see you all the weekend or the week after. So I'll pass it on round to Roger, G3. I use Z with the group. So I was saying I'm still quiet. That's I'm sort of not quite going into the red, and I think I'm at maximum. I need to listen to myself locally and get all these things sorted out, because I do have problems on a regular basis, so I'll sort all that out. Round to you, Roger, G3 IUZ with the group. This is GI4DOH. This is DOH.
Right. Thank you very much, Richard. Just check the sound's coming through okay. Thank you for that, Richard. Yes, your sound was better, but still a little bit on the quiet side. But a great deal easier to understand. Right. Thank you for everybody for a most interesting evening, as always. Anyway, on to this CNC thing. But just a quick, about when I retired about 20 years ago, I joined the Bristol Model Engineering Society. They've celebrated their centenary, so they've been around a very long time, and very much, of course, fed by marvelous engineers from BAC and Concorde and all the rest of it. So quite a predominance of aircraft interest, but very fine railways, track and so forth that they've got. Anyway, I joined them, and having had my interest whetted many years ago at a model engineering exhibition in London, for my retirement, I bought a very old second-hand ML7 lathe and embarked on the world of model engineering alongside amateur radio, which at that point I think I'd been licensed about 50 years. So it was quite nice to sort of combine the two with the sort of hands-on interest. So this was my workshop when I sort of started and got really started getting going. Let's wait for that. There we are. And there is my first attempt at model engineering, which is a GWR 1400, and that's as far as it got when I became involved with founding a new model engineering society for Mid-Somerset at the Bath and West Showground, and building a railway there. Ended up for my sins as chairman and so forth, and that became very absorbing for the next few years. So a bit of amateur radio in the background, but mainly it was the engineering side. So the 1400 is still sitting on the bench, more or less like that, because I've became quite distracted there it is again, and sort of close up. The family keep insisting that I finish it. I really must get round to it. It's not as shiny now after 20 years. Anyway, the new railway we built at the showground was passenger hauling. That was the loco I built, 7¼ gauge, and the water crane I built at home for the railway. That capable of carrying 1,000 passengers a day on that railway for about 1/3 of a mile around the showground. It included things like air and vacuum pumps. That was the control for that I designed and built and added to the local. That was the steam-driven air pump. Sort of jolly things to add and a bit more brass to polish. Anyway, and then for the family, I designed and built this electric tram. That's my son and my grandson, another grandson there, and some hangers-on in the middle. So that was a bit of fun. That's now up in the Lake District. I sold both the tram and the loco. I've sort of retired from the railway scene, just involved with the Linton and Barnstable. This was my lathe, Warco G750. I sold the Myford. It wasn't really big enough for the sort of stuff I was trying to do at 7¼ and you get some idea of the size of it there. That's remained a standard lathe, apart from adding a 3-phase inverter power to it, so you've got very fine control of speed. Very versatile. It's Chinese but good. Then on to the thing which we really want to talk about. This is the mill that I got at some point, I said about 15 years ago. Standard Warco 18 with just three axes, of course, X and Y and Z, and a reasonably powerful DC motor on the top. But to convert it to CNC, the first thing you have to do is you have to get rid of all the axis drives, because they're on Acme thread or square threads of one sort and another, and the big problem is the backlash that you inevitably get with that. So you have to go, the first thing, if you're going to go to CNC, you have to have ball screws with the appropriate nuts, with all the ball bearings that run inside them. 32 of them you'll discover if you accidentally let them out, and they are not easy to get back in. Anyway, there we are, the voice of experience. So those have to be fitted on all three axes, and they are driven by stepper motors rather than the hand controls that I left hand controls on, as I got double-ended stepper motors, because that gives you a little bit of flexibility when you're in a hurry and you haven't got the computer switched on. That's underneath. They're just showing you underneath the thing, and there's the ball screw and the ball screw nut driven by the stepper. That's on the X-axis. The X-axis goes left, right. The Y-axis goes back, forward, and back, away from the operator, as it were. And the Z-axis, of course, is up and down. Now, I'm in an old listed Victorian terrace here, and we're down in the coal cellar, which my wife and I dug out, the old brick on earth, when we were a little bit younger, when we first came here, dug it all out, put in insulated and some heating, and it makes a very good workshop, except there's no headroom. As you can see, the ceiling is just there, no room for a stepper motor, so I had to do this adaptation to get the thing in. Otherwise, there would have been a hole through the ceiling, through the floor above, and I don't think my wife had appreciated the top end of the milling machine under the dining room table. Other things one has to add for safety are proximity switches, limit switches, because anyone who's ever got into CNC know that sooner or later the thing will take over with a mind of its own, and if you haven't got limit switches, you have a lot of mangled and expensive machinery. So absolutely vital. Limit switches on all axes. So this is the general view of it with the stepper motor. That's the Y-axis, Z-axis up here somewhere, and the X just down the end there. Computer is an old, I'm not going to say laptop, desktop, running, I think it's running Windows 10 now. It was running Windows 7. It's running Windows 10 now, I think. And the touch screen display here for controlling all the various parameters and so forth and so on that you need with CNC. I've also still got a digital readout. I put that on before I converted it to CNC, so it's very useful sort of belt and braces for accurate readouts. Then I added, now because one of the things I was particularly interested in was milling CNC boards for obviously for radio. One of the problems with a standard mill is you can't drive the cutters fast enough. The smaller your cutter, the faster it has to go, and the top speed on the mill as supplied is about 2,500 RPM, which is no use at all. And you need about 18,000 RPM to do the very fine cutting. So I also added a fourth axis, and going through this fairly quickly because I don't want to keep you all on. I'm just watching my PA temperature as well. This is the interface, so computer running Mac 3. All the design is done on Fusion 360, which I also use for 3D printing design. That goes into this interface, which then goes out to drive the stepper motors. This is the inside with the Ethernet connection back to the computer. And this interfaces to the stepper motor drivers with a 48-volt power supply sitting here with a few other bits and bobs. And here's some of the output, a little more studio unit. You can do nice things like engraving front panels and nice holes like that for the speaker and so on. Fourth axis testing piece. This is the bracket that holds the high-speed motor on. Here are some printed circuit boards that have been milled, illuminated desk signs and so forth. And that was milled out of a solid lump of aluminium, and that's as it came off the machine, so you can see the sort of finish you get. So this was the circuit board for the driver for my mag loop, LF mag loop. Illuminated signs, that was one for my son. He is a software engineer for medical imaging. Signs for some of my friends locally for their call signs. Some engraving here for a dear old chap who in our club who was a Bevin boy down the mines during the war, and I had a sample of the last bit of coal that came out of his old pit. This was something I was very proud of, was to make the top for the carburettor of this beautiful half-scale aero engine 1909 ENV. There are only 3 left in the world, 3 or 4, all in bits, one in the reserve collection of the Science Museum. And Stephen, who's an absolutely amazing engineer, from a few drawings and photographs he was allowed to take in a half-hour visit to the museum, asked me to make the top for his Zenith carburettor, which he'd made, and that was all CNC milled out. Took 34 lines of Kojiko with a 0.3 millimeter diameter cutter in order to get this extremely fine. That's about 2 millimeter high. That numbering there. The other major thing that you might be interested to see was the Ren Turbojet project that another friend wanted done. There was a piece in that he couldn't make. This is a section through it. Compressor. These are the combustion chambers. That's the turbine and the jet out. But he needed the thing in the middle called the diffuser. These are the drawings for it, which I then had to convert to CAD with Fusion 360 and devise ways of making these blades in aerofoil section, which took quite a bit of messing about, which was good for the old grey matter. And these are the final programming. This is the in Fusion 360. And here's the lump of special alloy that I had to machine. And hopefully, here is some of the, having sort of proved the process and refined it somewhat. This is the actual cutting of the, oh, sorry, I'm messing you about here. Having sort of proved the process and refined it. Sorry about that, some soundtrack got on there from a... Anyway, this is the machine in progress on the 4th axis. Gives you some idea. Once you've got the hang of it, I still find myself fascinated by what has been achieved. If there are any professional machinists watching, yes, I know it's all very conservatively done, but the 2 pieces of alloy that the friend who wanted this done for him supplied me with were not easy to replace, and I certainly didn't want to have to go back to him and say, go and buy some more. So the milling is done on a fairly conservative basis in terms of depths of cut and so on, but I think you can get an idea of this fascinating process.
Well, all I could say is truly staggered to see that. I could see why you've had 20 years in retirement. Yeah, quite staggered. I don't know quite whether professional engineers would take bigger depths of cut with that rotor there, or impeller. I'm not sure what you call it, but absolutely fascinating. I did try a mechanical engineering course once at an evening school, but we didn't get very far after I borrowed a knurling tool that was completely blunt and ruined a piece of work I'd spent many weeks working on, which was a hand voice piece. So there you go. The only thing I know about the engineering side is that the 4-draw chuck is quite difficult to centre. It needs a certain level.
Okay. Well, don't know what happened there, Phil. Hopefully you'll come back next time. Wow. I'm just humbled. I really am. It's absolutely superb. Yes, never done anything like that at school or anywhere. So, there we go. Right. Okay. Bernie, back by special request. Bernie. In particular asked to see some 122 video, so I'll bore everybody with that. The first video is over a 12k path, I think. So this is on FM. We'll give it a try. Yeah, Roger, Dave. As I say, you're also 5x3 in also quite scratchy FM, and I'm just doing a quick video. So if I zoom in where you are, you're not there, you're over there. Okay, good. So that was 12 kilometres on, a bit short and sweet. So that was 12 kilometres on FM. and then the 17k path we did using a slightly different dish, much weaker, mind you. There I showed the horizon. It was reasonably clear, but a warm summer's day, not the best. The next shot was 17k, and that was last October, a year ago, and it was damp and miserable. In fact, when I show the horizon, you can hardly see it. So Bernie's just asked a question about the VCXO. These are using the internal 10 meg VCXO, and you will see on the next two video clips that it does wobble a little bit. I have in fact got another 10 meg oven source which I'm going to use this time round, but so these are 17k sideband. So that was 17k, and yes, it drifted a bit, but very readable. I think this is just more of the same. So there we go. So that was 17k on 122 gigs. No idea what the being sent. In fact, I do, because the VK units are pre-programmed, and we both agreed what we were going to pre-program in the units. And Dave just about copies CW, so he would know what was being sent, but I have no idea what he was sending me. There we go. Good. Right. So that was a bit of fun for you. Yeah, I've got a French very nice 10 meg TCXO which I'm going to use. But I mean it's never proved a problem. But I tell you what is absolutely invaluable these days for microwave. I don't know how I ever did it without, is the waterfall, either on the Langston or on the SDR Sharp, which is what that was. These little VK units produce an IF out at 144 megs approximately, and you just put that into an RTL dongle and then run SDR Sharp, and without that you're just lost. But once you've once you've got the SDR, you can find signals, because with microwaves there's two or three problems. One is, are you on frequency, and two, where are you headed, and where are you beamed. And by beam, when you're using a dish like this, I mean it's half a degree, and at least if you're using if you either have to be frequency locked, which most of us are, and you can be on 122 gigs even. You either have to be absolutely frequency locked, so you know where people are, or you need an SDR. And once you've done that, you've taken that variable out of the equation, and it makes it much more usable. I know when I first got my first 10 gigs gear, which was locked, I ran unlocked for years, but I heard so many more beacons in the noise purely by GPS locking, because I knew exactly where they were, and then all you have to worry about is the heading. So yeah, if anybody's thinking about, and it's not a big deal these days, because you use synthesizers for the low, and you just lock the reference, and normally that will do. Good. Okay, right, that'll do. And on that note, by the way, Dave, yes, I include a filter in the if you try and use a ADF 4351 as a local oscillator, you have to use yeah. Yes, Mike, I've had that problem as well. Do I turn the dial that way or that way? Yeah, you do have to use a filter if you're using an ADF 4351 as an LO. Right, okay. Roger, I'll put it back around to you. No, we have not. I presume everybody gets the vote. So, Roger, if you're ready to take it after me, and we'll go straight back to you. So G3UIZ, AGTZ, and the BATC Net.
Perhaps not, from Roger. Okay. I see Roger was tested on a different frequency. That's fine. Yeah, Mike will have seen you on his Winter Hill. Great, some really interesting stuff there. Yeah, we'd love to see the rest of your transmission, Roger. And with that, we will close the net. John, is that bit of cable that's cooked in your PA replaceable, I wonder? If so, I may have something here that we can substitute it with. That's worth thinking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it round to Roger next, then John G7JTT for a final over, and then we'll close the net. And everybody is screaming to see the rest of your video, Roger. So round to you, and then round to John G7JTT, and then that's it. And I'll see you all in a fortnight's time. 73 G8GKQ.
Well, humble apologies for that, everybody. The PA is in a box, and it obviously got overheated. Right, let's not mess about. Here we go for the rest of the video. This is called in CNC speak. This is called adaptive clearing, which is an extremely efficient way. It's all worked out by the it's all worked out by the software. Fusion 360, as I said, is what I use, and this actually runs the machine completely under software control. The depth of cut and the speed of the cut is all being controlled and is changing all the time, so the cutter is taking the optimum amount of metal for its diameter and speed and so on, and the metal being cut. It's a fascinating world. Although, as I say, this is just an amateur attempt at it, but once you've got the hang of it, or part of the hang of it, shall we say, One can watch this, I find, quite often. I can't believe I got away with it. It's, I guess, the best summary. But the further you get, the more metal you've cut, of course, the more anxious you get, because it's only got to go wrong once, and the scrap bin is the only place. But I seem to have been very lucky, and all the programming and the various processes, because there's a whole series of changes of tools and so on involved. We're on a 4mm cutter, I think, running at about 15,000 RPM. In a moment, you'll see it goes over to a 2mm cutter at 18,000 for the final finishing. And it's taking 5-micron cuts in depth. But this is the whole point of this piece of what is being actually machined here is that this diverts the airflow from the turbine, from the gas turbine compressor, from axial flow to radial flow. Sorry, radial flow to axial flow. I get it the right way around. That's the whole point. So the air is actually flowing along the length of the casing, ready for entry into the combustion chambers. And these little tiny steps that are being milled here is to allow a higher efficiency of the airflow, so it's expanding all the time. So I gather I'm not a gas turbine man at all. I simply made this bit for the guy who didn't have the gear to do it. So there you are. We actually got there, I think. So apologies, and I'll say good night to you all, and thank you very much for allowing me to finish that off. Just a minute, let's get a picture back. So thank you very much indeed, and wish you all well, and thank you for your patience. This is G3IUZ signing out.
Apologies for that. It got actually cut the thing off, so hopefully that's getting through. Let's mute that. I can hear my own voice. I haven't got my video yet, mind you. Why is that? Oh, there we go. Right, okay. For those that wanted to see the VLS stuff and be bored, let's just switch over. I'm going to have to do a bit of dodgy cam. So there's the waterfall display. As Al says, recent times. And what you can see down the bottom there are 3 test signals, one at minus 90, minus 95 and minus 100 dB. It's quite an interesting thing at 8 kilohertz that through the night is the noisiest. So you'll see there the brighter area is through the night basically, and then through the day it goes very quiet. So actually it works a lot better for the X during the day than it is through the night. So I'm guessing, as I'm fairly new at all this, that distances are probably limited by that. And just because it's quite nice and neat to look at, that's the background engine of Spectrum Lab. So we're using both channels. One is just doing the calibrating stuff and locking onto everything, and then the other one's got filters and God knows what else in there to try and render out all the noise. I can probably, or actually what I can probably show you is that's the actual device there, and if I turn that up, I don't know how well this is going to work. We'll give it a go. But that, where am I there? That's the filtered audio. That's the unfiltered audio. So yeah, massive difference using all the filters and stuff like that. But wires connecting on where they shouldn't be connecting now. So that was that. What was the other thing I was going to show? Oh, Noel, let me just get rid of this camera, get rid of the wobbly cam. You talk about Sharp, etc. One of the pieces of software, which I don't know if anybody's really used yet, is this piece of software, which if I go on to that one, I'll just make that full screen to make it worthwhile seeing. This is SDR++. It's an absolute brilliant piece of software. It's pure basics. That's looking at our or my signal at the moment. It's bloat free, so it's as basic as a piece. It's a bit like GQRX, in the sense that it's really basic, but it's cross-platform. You can run it on Raspberry Pi, you can run it on Windows, which I'm obviously doing at the moment, Linux. I think you can even run it on a Mac as well, I believe. But the young chap that's done it has done an absolutely brilliant job on it, and it's got all different support for just about every SDR that I can think of. Anyway, at the moment I'm just using it on an RTL dongle, but it's exactly, Mike. Not that I really know, just trying to sound clever, but it's superb. It really is good, and I hope he keeps it up, because there are some other bits and pieces on it. You can sync audio in and out and all the rest of it. So it's really quite nice. There is a rig control. There are some knobs and whistles being developed on it, but at the moment it's really nice and basic. It's very lightweight. It runs on just about everything and anything. In fact, I'm not sure if it will run on Android even, possibly. So, but it's really useful in that it's very basic and very bloat free. So, SDR console is a brilliant piece of software, but it's got a lot of buttons, and I think that probably throws a lot of people. Whereas this thing, it just works. All you do is you go up here, you select your source. Let's just stop that for a minute. So you go to source, you go to SOAP SDR, which is what I was using, SDR Play, Pluto, Lime, HackRF, Spy Server, etc. I think there are some other ones at the top here somewhere. Oh yeah, AirSpy, FileBlade RF, etc. Those are on there. You can then set your bandwidth, AGC, gain, IQ correction, la-di-la-di-la, all the way down. So it's something that's I would definitely well, to be honest, Mike, I got one of these Huawei things, which I forget what the processor speed is, but it's amazing. It's far quicker sometimes doing stuff on there than it is actually doing it on my laptop. So I thought I had a reasonably fast laptop nowadays. But anyway, so I just want to show that. Let's get back to a camera. Move. There we go. And I should pass it on round to Leave G4 FKK, I believe.
Just in case I forgot to show you the finished job. There's the finished job. Sorry about that. There we are. That's what the guy got. And
Right, sorry, I wasn't sure I was coming back actually. Yeah, Roger, that was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it just shows you what you can do as an amateur. Well, at least what you can do as an amateur. And thank you very much for sharing that with us. That was absolutely brilliant. And John, yeah, very interested in the VLF as well. So, and I'd not heard of SDR++, so that's another thing to get going. Anyway, I don't think I was supposed to come on again, so I'll go off again. But good night, everybody. And Mike, I don't think you need to up your game. Your game's fine. And you know, RS232. That's probably going to baffle me when I get round to that as well. See you later, everyone. G4FKK.
And yeah, good night, everybody. If you're still listening, Dave, have a good holiday. Oops. Yeah, good night, everybody. And this one's for you, Martin.